Shish. Oh, well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to part 2 of my Winter 4-State Challenge, where I go over the gear that I took on my trip. That's right, I'm already back, but no spoilers here. You're gonna have to wait for the videos. The neighbors are stopping. Let's get right into the gear that I took on my trip. I've never done a what's in my pack, so I've set everything else, or set all my stuff up here, and I've got my pack. I'm going to explain things as I pack them so you can see what I have in my pack. Bless you, honey. It's okay. Sharon. I can show you guys what's in my pack and how I pack my pack up. So, let's get right into it. Aether 60 from Osprey. It's a great pack. It's what I used on my thru hike. I would say my only thought on this pack is it holds weight really well. I mean, I can put 40, 50 pounds, maybe even more in this pack and hike comfortably. It's very sturdy and can hold the weight. But for me, I find out that I don't need that much, and the pack itself weighs a little bit more. I could probably go with like the Exos or some of the lighter models, and I would like to eventually. I think that I'm going to start to try to, I know, work into some more light gear. I've always kind of preached the, you don't have to have ultralight gear. Well, I'd like to try a little bit, maybe cut some weight, and first off I would maybe go with a lighter pack. But it does a really awesome job. I'm not doing a gear review on this pack, I'm just going over the gear. Great pack, and if you want I can do a gear review on it. But there we are, pack. And first thing that I always go into my pack, I work it a little bit different than some people. The pack's got the bottom compartment that is for your sleeping bag. I've never really used it for my sleeping bag. I always go tent at the bottom because, well, if you set it down, you're setting it maybe in the slop, in the mud, the snow, whatever. And I know that you have waterproof bags and such, but I just don't like my sleeping bag there. And I like my tent to be the easily accessible, and I don't have to get through anything. It's the first thing I do when I get to camp is I put my tent up. So this extra pocket that, you know, it's separate, allows me to get to my tent without having to go through any of my other equipment. I have it right now in a To Sumit waterproof bag, but it's actually a big Agnes tent. It's a single and it's like 10 years old. I don't actually remember what model it is. I think it's very similar to their fishhook series. I just did a little research to find that out. The original bag's actually at home. To be honest, I don't know. Like I said, I bought it about 10 years ago. It is a single from Big Agnes, and it's similar to the stuff that I've seen out there, the models they have. Works out really well. I like Big Agnes for tents, not so much for sleeping pads, but we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, so I've got my tent, the fly, and the tent itself in this waterproof bag. But I always add it to a trash compactor bag, even though it's not exactly needed. I like to have the extra bags, especially when I'm winter camping, because I tend to put my shoes in one of these bags and put it in my sleeping bag. It doesn't hurt to have an extra one. The weight of a trash compactor bag is not really something I worry about. But that goes in the bottom of my pack. Step 1. Tent in the bottom. As far as the tent stakes and the tent poles, I always set them on the side, and it would be this side of my pack. Perfect. So there we go. That's where my tent goes in my pack. Moving on to the middle of my pack, sleeping bag. Like I just said, I don't go with the sleeping bag on the bottom compartment or in the bottom compartment. My sleeping bag is oftentimes not the last thing I pull out, but towards the end. So I'm okay with that being put in towards the middle of my pack. My pack is always lined with, yes, another trash compactor bag. These are not necessary, but I find great uses for these bags. Not only do they help being another layer to keep you from getting, you know, your gear and stuff wet, but I just start off just like that. Kind of go sideways with it. Depending on the size, you can go different directions depending on your pack and whatnot. But I like that right in the middle. Like I said, with these trash compactor bags, put your boots in them, put your boots in your sleeping bag so they don't freeze. Also, when camping in winter and having some really cold temperatures, you may find that without proper ventilation in your tent, you're getting condensation. And even with good ventilation in your tent, you still could have some condensation, especially when you're in 5-10 degrees. And that condensation is going to rain down on you inside your tent. I sometimes use a trash compactor bag to slide the foot box of my sleeping bag in overnight, paired with my rain jacket over my torso and stuff, to kind of keep that condensation from getting on your sleeping bag and getting that wet. It's one thing that you definitely want to keep dry. We have, this is a big Agnes, what is the name of this sleeping pad?
QCore.
They're QCore. That's what it is. Thank you, honey.
Mine's SL.
This is actually my wife's, Sharon's. This is her SL QCore. It's a little bit of a lighter model, and it's from Big Agnes. This sleeping pad, I don't actually recommend this to people, especially if they're going to do a lot of hiking. This could be good for like weekends and where you're not going to be using it a lot. I think the lifespan on them is not very good. We've went through about 4 of them on the trail. Customer service is great. They don't even ask questions. We've had new ones shipped to us. Around the nozzle, they tend to start leaking. Maybe the design's going to change in their next model, this year's model, and maybe they'll fix that. But we had quite a bit of issues with these on the trail. I've patched all of them numerous times. I just repatched this for the trip, and it did hold up with my patches. But yeah, like I said, probably not the best for long distance hiking or something where you're going to be kind of abusing that pad. So, but that is what I took. It's like a 3.5 inch thick pad, really good for winter camping because it does get you off the ground and adds quite a bit of insulation. Next up, and you guys have seen it, I've talked about it in videos, our jet boil system. I like putting this also in the middle, and depending on how my pack is, they may go different directions in here, but I like it right in here because I use and I'll get to it as I go down the line, I use some of my clothes to cushion some things and keep things from getting banged up, and that's one thing that jet boil I wanna protect. The clothing that I took on the trail. Now, obviously I have a puffer. It is a old beaten up puffer. It's lasted, I think it was 8 or 10 years old before I hit the AT. Lasted the whole AT and I'm still using it. Duct tape holding it together. The down's not very good. But it offers warmth, and I'm kind of attached to some of my gear after a while, no matter how old it is. As far as clothing goes, from the base layer, I wore a pair of, and this gear is all similar to what I took on the trail, a pair of like spandex underwear, because I find that it keeps any kind of like chafing or rubbing down, so I wear that, and I do like a long inseam, so that on really hot days, obviously I didn't have any on this trip, you could even go with just these, or these under a pair of light shorts. But I really think that these work the best for me. I've used Officio X whatever boxers, and they stretch a little bit, and they don't get that like tight fit after a while. These, after day after day after day after day, they're still going to fit tight, and they're still going to give you that smooth feel while you're walking. So, underwear, that's what I used. As for a shirt, just a cheap wicking t-shirt from Walmart. Just as long as it's not cotton, synthetic, wicking works good. Shirt, long sleeve, wicking, same kind of thing. You don't have to spend a lot of money on these. The technology is, for me, it's not that much to spend the extra $50 or whatever on the name brand. It's just going to work just as good. These are probably $10 or less, depending on if you get them at the right time. Hiking pants. These are a Patagonia pair of, I think they're more or less climbing pants, but they're nice, they're light, they're quick drying, they're a little bit elastic, so allows for flexibility when you're walking. Gusseted crotch, which we've sewn quite a few times. These are the ones that I wore on the whole AT. They're a great pair of pants. There's a couple things I would look for in pants, and like I said, lightweight. These had a little bit of a waterproofing on them when I got them. It quickly wears off. I wouldn't worry too much about that. As long as they breathe and they dry fairly quickly, that's important. Yeah, other than that, just like good construction. Patagonia makes some good quality, and you'll pay a little bit more for these. I actually waited until I got these on like a sale or something like that. Old models of clothing you always get better prices on. But when it comes to pants, you can wear anything. I went a little bit more name brand on those, and they have actually proven to be worth it because they've lasted a long time. They're all stained up, but lasted a long time. That is what I wore on my legs. Hiking, I wear these $1 or less pair of dress socks. They're, you know, synthetic dress socks. That's what I wear hiking. Some people that works. Actually, I'm the only person I know that does that. But I do have a pair of like mid-weight hiking socks just in case and for at camp. But I had these. I only wore them at camp. I didn't really ever hike in those. And these I wore the whole time, and that's just the way my feet work. My feet stay super warm, and these allow them to not sweat even in the 15-degree hiking and stuff. This is what I wear on my feet. AT Buff. These things are great for regulating temperatures around your neck, over your head, over your ears, over your mouth. I mean, any way you want to wear them. Versatility in being able to wear them a bunch of different ways. The buffs are great. You know, pick up one of those. You'll never regret that because they really work well, and I take it everywhere I go when I'm hiking or camping. So, I know that you save some space when you pack your gear into your pack without putting them in individual sacks. Every time you add an individual sack, you lose space when you start packing because it has a shape and it doesn't mold and fill in all the gaps. I took one extra bag with me because I used it as a pillow with my extra clothes at night. It's just the way I go. So that was on me, that was on me. Extra socks, I wore those. Those I wore. That I was probably wearing. That I was wearing. These go in here. A fleece layer for my top. Just a regular, inexpensive fleece. And I never really wear this hiking. It's more when I get to camp. Because when you're hiking in the wintertime, you tend to get warm and you want to cut down on sweating and stuff, so you're not wearing as many layers. But when you do get to camp, you need to take off of your hiking stuff and get into a dry, like at camp outfit. So something that you can strip off anything that may be damp and get into something warm. So this was oftentimes I would get into camp, strip down, put this fleece on, and then maybe the puffer on top of that. That goes right along with my fleece bottoms. I like fleece just because I like the way that it feels and it's very comfortable, especially for at camp. I don't like tight-fitting base layers. They're just not as comfortable. I find that like it's irritating to have them compressing your hair on your legs. You guys out there, hair on your legs all the time. So I wear. My wife's mother got this for me for Christmas. They're Star Wars. Took them the whole way on the AT. This is my base layer. This is what I wear when I get to camp. Take off your hiking pants, put this on. It's warm, it feels good. I wear it in the sleeping bag. I like the way that you don't stick to the inside of your sleeping bag. I basically sleep in a fleece layer the whole time, pajamas. And you can also wear them underneath your hiking stuff if you need the extra warmth. So, in this case, because I don't have a food bag, I actually had my my sleeping pad on one side and my clothes on the other side. But in this case, I don't have a food bag with food in it because I've already eaten it. My electronics goodie bag with like emergency stuff in it. I'll go over the stuff that I had in there. Basically, you never know. This is a space blanket. You never know. I've got my external battery charger for my my camera and my phone. A lot of people aren't going to need something like this, but I videotaped everything. I was constantly using my camera and stuff, so extra charger for my battery, a cord to charge my camera, a cord to charge my phone. Too bad they're different. A little bit of moleskin, which I always carry just a little bit of that. I don't worry about extra bandages. Basically, moleskin can be put onto anything, and then I use my duct tape for my trekking poles if I ever need a band-aid. I don't take a band-aid, I take moleskin and duct tape. It's kind of the same thing. So, a little bit of toothpaste and a toothbrush, which is in the other room. Backup mini Bic lighter. Earplugs just in case. A little bit of cordage, rope, bear hang, that kind of stuff. You can buy it. This is a pretty light cord. Gotta have that just because, well, if you get a piece of beef jerky stuck in your tooth and you have to hike 43 miles, you're going to want a little floss to get it out of there. I'm not hiking 43 miles with that stuck in my tooth. That's it. That's my emergency bag kit. There was a little bit of ibuprofen in here that I don't have anymore, but I have that because I was hiking 43 miles and I wanted to keep down anti-inflammatory, keep down on any of that extra wear and tear while I was doing that. So there was a little bit of ibuprofen in there, but that's all I have in my emergency kit. That would go on here, and then I use my puffer as a filler to keep things from bouncing around and as protection in my pack. So I would jam that down in the nooks, in the crannies, to get everything, packed down nice and tight, and it fills up the different gaps inside of my pack. With your pack, you want everything to be nice and tight. You don't want things moving around. When that happens, it causes like the pack to sway or rub on your shoulders. You want it all to be a nice tight unit so that it fits nice and tight on you, so that when you're walking, nothing tends to chafe. So I would pack all that stuff down. The inner bag, squeeze it down, get some of the air out, wrap it up, and fold that down inside there. Now that whole area is just one kind of like watertight unit, along with my tent at the bottom, and that's that. Next up, food bag would go on top. I've already eaten all the food. I've got a little video that I'm going to input in here, of making the food, preparing the food, what I had for lunch, what I had for dinner, and what I had for snacks.
Sped up a lot, or at least.
Bread, meat, and cheese. Yummy.
Back and forth and put everything over there.
Hi.
These are orange stuff. That we were done. Like that one I'm using.
Like this. Perfect. But the only gear that would go inside the food bag is, with all of my food, I had my 1 cup. And because of the pouch cooking system, all of my food was in cookable freezer bags. So I had the pouch for cooking them, and also for using the hot food to warm me up in my sleeping bag. My little To Sumit titanium whatever spork and that would go in my cooking pouch. And then I also had a Sawyer squeeze. This is just an extra bottle. For coffee, the cream, I grew up on a dairy farm. The cream is more important than the coffee is half the time. I actually took cream with me on the trail. I had this partway full, and I was able to store this inside of here. I had cold enough temperatures at night that I would set the cream outside and it would get nice and cold. And then during the day, if it warmed up, I would pack the cream inside my insulated pouch and use it to keep the cream cold during the day. And then at night, I would take it out and use the pouch to keep my food warm. And then vice versa. During the day, the cream would go back in here and keep cold. It lasted the 5 days while I was out there, didn't spoil, tastes fine, worked out really well. So it is possible to take actual cream with you for your coffee on the trail. We got these for Christmas. These are actually Bear Grylls. Dun, dun, dun. They actually work out pretty well. They're a little bit heavy, but as much as you'd think that wouldn't be a good Bear Grylls. He sells giant hatchets and all sorts of stuff like that. The food bags, or this is actually just a dry sack, actually worked well. It was one of those things we got for Christmas that we didn't exactly choose, but we used it and it worked well on the whole trail. So my food bag would oftentimes be a little bit puffy, fit on top of my pack like that. And I always use my food at the top of my bag because you carry weight really well on top. You don't want it on the bottom, your extra weight on the bottom. Food is probably the most dense, along with water, obviously, and works well to be put on top of your pack. And the top of your pack is meant to extend up with extra gear and stuff. So as the food bag got smaller, this was able to continuously compact down. This is kind of adjustable, and that's the sack part of your pack works out really well. So extra weight on top, easy to get to, and it works well with the way that the bag is designed. So I would put food in on top. Brain goes over top of that. That actually leaving air in there worked really well. Like this. And that does it for the main pouch, the main compartment of my bag. This is where my water would go. 2 smart water bottles, one for clean water, booger, one for dirty water. Using a Sawyer squeeze between the two. You can use the clean one to flush your Sawyer squeeze. These little nipples on the smart water bottles actually work to back flush Sawyer. I have a video on the water systems and stuff like that, tips from the trail. Check it out. Goes over exactly how we worked it on the trail. Drinking out of the one out of the bottom, and this would be the one just to use for filtering and whatnot when I got to water sources. Along with the water there, Sawyer squeeze, the original, not the mini. The mini just doesn't last very long, and without really frequent back flushing, the flow rate is kind of bad. You're really sucking on it. It's hard to quench your thirst. This just works better for me. I like it a little bit better. It's a little bit bigger, weighs a little bit more, but whatever. But with winter hiking, you have to be very careful. I actually stored this in my shirt, above my waist belt on my pack. It would sit right here, so it would be up against my skin to keep it warm. If these freeze, they're ruined. So you really got to keep these things from freezing. I slept with it at night, that kind of thing. But that's what I use for water filtration. I still filter water even in the cold because I don't want to take the risk. I understand that for the most part you're probably not going to have any problems when you have such cold temperatures with the water, but I still filter. Alright, that would go if I was hiking in one of my hip belt pockets, or if it was too cold, like I said, it would go inside. Alright. For the brain, some people take the brain off their packs because of the extra weight. I like to be able to have that extra division between the inner and then the stuff that I may access a little bit more frequently. One thing, Viking stocking hat for when it got cold. For the most part, I would only use this at night and in the mornings. When I was hiking, the buff I actually use on my head because I feel like it breathes a little bit better and allows for better temperature regulating than this does. But this was up top. I always hike with a poncho. The last day on the trip, spoiler, I got a little bit of rain. So with the poncho, I feel like I have a tips from the trail about rain. Watch that. You can see how I use the poncho to deal with the rain. They're light, they're inexpensive. If they tear, you buy one for another $1 poncho. Really nice. Pack cover is a it's another To Sumit. I think I splurged and got the ultralight. Again, the dealing with rain video will cover this. Quickly, I will say, always go bigger with your pack cover, so you're not trying to stretch a small cover over a bigger pack. The stretching and pulling, you're going to wear holes or stretch the seams, that kind of thing. And it always allows you to have a little bit more room to stuff more things and carry more stuff. You never know. A little bit bigger, my one little tip. And toiletries. That's some camouflage toilet paper that we got for Christmas one year. I'm still trying to use up, but it's camping toilet paper, whatever, toilet paper. Little bottle of sanitizer, hand sanitizer. You're going to want that for the privies. Stuff's kind of gross out there. It's nice to have that, especially with just dealing with that much people going through certain spots. I didn't have a lot of people on this trip, but for through hikers, hand sanitizer is a good call. I also have some Bonner's foot powder. I always hike with it because I found out that a lot of leading cause for discomfort on the trail is moisture, and anytime that you can use the moisture to or use the powder to kind of dry yourself out, whether it be your feet at night or maybe just using it because it has a better smell than what you want to smell like, which never really bothered me. It's nice, especially if you get any spot that's like rubbing or chafing a little bit. Foot powder is a good thing to have. There it is. Toiletry, top, very easily accessible. Along with that, Lieutenant Poo Pee Shovel. He's still around, he's still alive. If you watch the Tukatadan series, you'll know more about this guy. It doesn't really work very well, but I can't let go. He is my poop shovel. Goes in on this side, attaches to a little carabiner, and I always have my poop shovel. Nice. Okay, working my way down to the hip belt. I've got a Gerber multi-tool. It's a little overboard, I would say, for some people. Look at this, perfect. For some people, this may be a little overboard. They don't think you need, just a knife, which is completely true. Fingers are cold and working with zippers. I like having the actual grip, the vice grips on there, because, well, it helps. And picking up small things, I've used these quite a bit on the trail. I have. So that's why it's proven itself to me. I've also used the scissors on the trail. I've also, I've used the knife, and then some things having a little screwdriver. Not needed, but I don't know. I've just grown to like it. It fits on my belt. It's a little bit extra weight for something that it's proven to me. I've used it. If I don't use things, I stop taking them, but I continue to use that while I'm out hiking. Attached to one of my shoulder straps, I've got the Spot Jenny 3. I took that because I was solo hiking, and I also wanted to be able to track my progress. So, look into the Spots if you're going to be hiking by yourself. I think that they're a really good tool to use for people that just want to have that little extra safety of being able to flip a lid and hit a red button and 911 kind of thing. So I took the Spot with me. Snow Lizard cell phone case. I've done a gear review on this if you want to look any more into that. Solar panel, extra battery, waterproof, shockproof, that kind of thing. That always hung right here through the majority of my through hike. It hung on my shoulder strap, able to catch some rays to charge a little bit. I will say that that's not a reliable charger, and also phone batteries and stuff, when it comes to really cold temperatures, can tend to be a little screwy. This also I kept in my shirt with the water filter on really cold temperatures, just to keep it warm. So that covers that. One other thing, I've got a little gorilla pod, lightweight little gorilla pod. The camera's on it right now. I can put a little picture or something in to show you that. Also the camera, Coolpix AW120, same thing I used on the trail. Waterproof, shockproof, freeze-proof. Just proves to be a very nice camera. Not awesome quality, but still good. And I think it works really, really well. I didn't do a gear review on it. I probably could if people want that. But that goes in its own little spot right there. And then this one over here was used for snacks and whatnot on the trail. This other hip belt pocket. Extra carabiner. I did get a chance to use it on the trail, but always like to carry an extra one. I have one that I've always carried that I actually forgot here in the city that I normally carry. This one is just a pretty chintzy one, but it's never a bad idea to have a couple little extra things. That's pretty light. I also have a guy on the trail on the AT gave us these, which are like a little plastic version of a carabiner. Doesn't clip or whatever, but it kind of offers another way of hooking things. But it's just a piece of plastic. Extra weight, I know, but I've found uses to clip. I hung my sunglasses off of them, so I found a use for them. Not exactly needed. All right, moving on. I carry a chamois. You never know. I used it for getting out that condensation out of my tent, so I wasn't packing my tent up in the moisture. You never know. I like having a chamois. This is the first time I've tried this. I got it for Christmas. It's I don't know, it's one of these ones that if you put water in it and you wrap it around you, it'll cool you, which I didn't need any cooling on this trip, but it works well for absorbing water. Chamois. Goes in the back. I did a gear review on these. These are the Ice Trekkers crampons. I dealt with quite a bit of ice on this trip, so it's a good thing that I had those. They went in the back, pretty easily accessible. Pull them out when I needed. That's in the back pocket. Camp shoes, Crocs. Well, generic version of Crocs. I know some people think camp shoes are not needed, and no, they're not needed, but I believe that they're an important tool that I use for foot health. When I get to camp, I almost automatically take off my boots. Moisture in your feet is the devil. It is the worst thing that you can have on your feet. Your feet need to dry out so that they can develop the calluses. If your feet are always wet, it promotes new skin growth, blisters, and all sorts of nasties. This allows me to take my feet out of my boots and put them in something that is very ventilated and allow my feet to dry well. Even in the cold temperatures, I would strip down to bare feet, put them in these. My feet would get cold, but it would at least allow them to dry before I tuck them away in socks, my camp socks, and put them in my tent, so I wasn't holding in all that moisture around my feet, and my feet weren't wet all the time. I always strap these to my pack, using a couple of the extra straps. Also using something that I found on the trail, which is this little blue, wiry, bendy kind of thing. How do you like my terminology? It's a wiry, bendy kind of thing. It holds shapes. It allows you to hook it onto parts of your pack. I used it to go across this. It's just something that I used, but like a lot of the gear that I take, I like things to have multiple purposes. You can find any number of purposes for that on the trail. I used it to hang something one time, to hang up gear and dry it out and stuff. So, you know, it has a lot of purposes and it works really well. Happens to be the same color as my pack. I found it on the AT. I've been using it ever since. Thermarest. I'm stupid. Thermarest. Z-Seat. I saw this in one of Redbeard's videos. He said it was a piece of gear that he wouldn't do without, and I tend to agree with him. Really nice piece of gear, and you're constantly using it. When I set up my tent, boom, it goes on the ground, so when I'm kneeling into my tent in the snow, my pants don't get wet, my knees don't get cold. It's just an overall nice thing to have. 2 ounces. You can't beat it. So that would go at the bottom of my pack. Yeah, but on this trip, along with it, I took a piece of tyvek as my ground tarp for my tent, and as my when I was in shelters, I would put it down underneath my sleeping pad. Bit of advice about tyvek: if you got the house wrap tyvek that's really crinkly and loud, I was surprised. Put it in the washing machine and wash it, and it makes it softer. Only thing is I haven't tested it to know if that actually makes it not waterproof. I don't know, but it does make it softer. You don't need to put it in the dryer because it doesn't absorb water, so you just need to wipe it off. It doesn't get wet, it just gets water on the outside. And I think the dryer will probably melt it or ruin it. It is plastic. So tyvek ground cloth with, whoopsie, with this guy, always got attached to the bottom of my pack. I'm always thinking of new things with my system to make things more convenient. These help to level off the bottom of my pack so that it will make a liar out of me. It'll stand up, and normally it was because when I would open this up, that would get flopped over, and it kind of stands up and allows me to work on things. But, you know, keep working your system. Keep working with, you know, how you're packing, change. Always adjust, and that's a big piece of advice I have for people with their packs. Depending on what's in your pack, depending on what you're wearing, depending on, especially on the AT, you're losing weight, your pack is going to constantly need adjusting. I adjust my pack differently every single time I put it on. I loosen things up, set it down. When I put it back on, I adjust it to where it fits well at that particular moment. Shoulders get sore. If your pack's riding on your shoulders a little bit and your shoulders get sore, and if you think, this is the way my pack's always adjusted, this is the way it fits the best, your shoulders will get more and more sore. You know, take it off your shoulders a little bit and put it a little bit more on your waist for a while. Allow your shoulders to rest. Next, you know, your waist is a little sore from it riding there, a little too heavy. Put it a little bit more on your shoulders. Always readjust your pack to fit you at that particular moment. Things change. So, with my pack and my system, I'm always adjusting it. There's no perfect way to pack your pack or to have your pack put on. It's just, I always continue to adjust. Last thing, constantly wearing my rain jacket. This is a, oh wow, I don't even remember. Is it a Columbia jacket? Yeah, Columbia rain jacket. Got a decent deal on them. We actually upgraded to these on the trail. When it comes to rain jackets, I feel they're best for windbreaks. Enough rain's going to get you wet no matter what. That's where the poncho comes into play. If you want to get protected completely from rain, you have to wear plastic. Plastic doesn't breathe at all, and it's not very good to hike in. I hike in this because it breathes a little bit and it keeps the rain off of you for the most part. Eventually this will even get soaked through. But a lot of times when you're hiking, you'll steam up inside this and it'll get wet. So I didn't normally pack it away so much. When I wasn't wearing it, I would kind of tuck it in on the back of my pack in such a way, depending on where it was, damp, that it had a chance to kind of dry out if it wasn't raining or whatever. So a lot of times that was on the outside of my pack. I think that covers all of the gear. I'm wrong. I wore a pair of sunglasses. Ta-da! So I had sunglasses with me. They would either hang off of my pack or I would wear them. Also, I had gaiters. Now, we're going to talk more about these gaiters in later videos. I actually don't have them. I spent some time visiting with Trail Angel Vicky that we met on the trail. She's, you know, we met her around Harper's Ferry, and I was in the area, so I thought I would touch base with her, and we got a chance to visit. So that was very nice. But without giving too much away, she ended up, I ended up leaving my gaiters with her. So she's sending them back to me. I can't really show you them. I could probably put a picture somewhere, or you'll see them on my legs. I also had gaiters because of the, you know, the snow and the, you know, rain, mud, whatever. Last thing I forgot was my boots. It's another pair of Salomons. I really like the way Salomons fit. These boots work, you know, very well. I wanted to try a pair that was actually leather boots. They're not Gore-Tex. They're waterproof leather. They breathe a little bit better. I'm going to do a little gear review on these boots, so stay tuned for that because they're a little bit less expensive than some of the other models, so they were appealing to me, and I'll let you know how they worked and stuff like that. But those are the boots that I took. Solomon, whatever, I don't remember the name. I can put it in there. There you have it. That's it. That is what I took. I think my base weight without food and water was like 25 pounds, I think, which put me with like 8 pounds of food, you know, so 10 or 12 pounds with food and water. I was, you know, 35 to 38 pounds or something. It was pretty heavy. But by the time I flipped around to do, because I hiked a mile south, and then I flipped around to do the challenge, my pack was much lighter. I had a lot less food and stuff like that. So, but that's how heavy it was. This is my system that I took. And this is very similar to the system that I used on the AT, except for my wife and I, we were able to share some gear, and we had a 2-man tent and stuff like that. But if you have any questions on the gear that I've went over today, you want a little bit more information, leave your questions in the comments below. Or if you'd like me to do a gear review, a little bit more in-depth look of any of the gear that I've shown you today, also leave that in the comments below. But thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and we will see you later on down the trail. And remember, keep it between the blazes.
Exactly. To you until we meet.
Oh, he was gonna pull away though.
Happy trails to you. Smiling until then.
Here, we can walk around.
Happy trails to you.
Here's his famous expression. Felice and Daryl. Happy trails. Felice and Daryl.
Stay safe. Keep it between the blazes.